beautiful souls, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be March 2023 favorites and reflections. And I feel like March was very long. I don't know about anybody else, but it's just funny how we all perceive time differently. Like February flew by. January felt very long, February flew by, and March has felt quite long again. But I feel like this month was really pivotal for me. I did a lot of things that I am proud of. So we're going to talk about that. I love to start these videos off by talking about my cards for the month. So my tarot card for March was Justice, and my oracle card was Power Source. By the way, I'm filming at my kitchen table today because it's like earlier in the day and it's really hard for me to film in my office when the sun is shining in, and I have to mess with my ring light and stuff, and the lighting's just better out here. So that's why we're here. Change of scenery today. But yeah, justice, I talked about how justice had kind of been a theme for me last year, just in general, of things kind of tipping into my favor. And I definitely feel like there was a lot of things that I was worried about in March that I didn't need to worry about, right? My husband and I got to have a week off together where we did a lot of fun stuff. We, went to town and went to shopping and things like that. And it was really fun. We went out to eat quite a bit. We just got to spend a lot of time together, which we don't normally get to do because our work schedules are opposite of each other. So we literally never have the day off together. So that was really nice. But the following week after my vacation, I had to work a full week at my job, which some of you guys might be like, okay, but I made a sacrifice when we moved here that, to work less, make less money, have less free money to be able to just enjoy my life, because I was spiraling and going down to just a really bad place with where I was. And so this was the first week I had to work a full week at my job in over a year. And it wasn't just my normal job. They were having me cover for somebody. So I was doing a job that I didn't know a lot about. And so I had a lot of worry about that. And I don't know why I do that, because I know that every time I worry about something like that, it's like, if something bad happens, it's like reliving it twice. And I know that, but I'm always like worst case scenario type of person when it comes to myself and things I might encounter. I don't know. I try to visualize and think of all the possible outcomes so I'm not surprised, because one thing I don't like is going into a situation not knowing, I guess. But I was worrying for no reason, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. By the end of the week I was exhausted because, as you guys know, I live in the middle of nowhere. So by the end of the day, with all of my travel and everything like that, I was pulling 12-hour days. Just work, travel, all of that. It doesn't include anything else I needed to get done or whatever. So I don't know. I feel like the universe was really watching out for me this month and had a lot of good things for me, kind of saved me from a lot of bad things. But for Power Source, I feel like I really tapped into my inner power source this month. If you guys aren't new here, you'll remember back in the summer I was talking about me writing a book, and I was really excited and I had all of these ideas. I was writing, and then life got in the way, and I just wasn't feeling inspired. So I think I had written about 10,000 words of this fantasy novel that I had thought of. I'm just gonna light some incense while we're out here, guys, because I have this little incense holder that I keep on the kitchen table. And I'm just like looking at it and I'm like, you need to be burning. Here we go. So I think I had looked at my book in January and February of this year and kind of written a little bit, just to kind of get things flowing again. And then in March, I really had a huge just spark of creativity and just energy to write my book. And I have written over 50,000 words. So just pretty much in March, I've written 40,000 words, which I'm really, really proud of, because I don't know, it's just so exciting. And I have so many ideas now for my book. It's like all I can think of. And so while, this train is still going, while the creativity is still flowing, I want to just keep on that train, I just want to keep writing so that I don't like lose the momentum, because I feel like that's what happens with me with creative projects. So, I mean, I really like drew from this power source this month. I just felt so creative and just so full of ideas, and I love that. And something, I was talking to my mom about this the other day, but I feel like I have this thing where I feel like I need to do one thing, right? I need to be focused on one thing and be good at it and not stray, but that's just not who I am. I am just a creative person, and I need to be doing something creative most of the time. And I have a hard time just focusing on one thing, right? Like I did my Etsy shop for quite a long time. I have my YouTube channels. And I started my YouTube channel, my new YouTube channel in February, but March I wasn't as excited to be posting on there. I was more excited about my book, and now I'm like more excited to film, again. So it's kind of just what I feel I want to do at the time, and forcing myself to do stuff just never works. So I just have to feel drawn to do something. So in March, I really kind of fell backwards on my practice a little bit. I didn't journal much. I didn't do my planner or anything like that. And it just, again, I didn't want to force myself to do it. I just wasn't feeling inspired to do any of that. I had certain things that I was just putting all of my effort into, and I'm okay with that, right? I didn't really do any kind of new moon or full moon rituals. I was just very focused in on my book, and that's okay. I don't think we always have to be 100% structured. And so I definitely want to do some more, structured things in my practice in April for sure, but I'm not going to force it. And I'm not going to do things that I don't even want to do. Like I'm very, intuitive with my practice. What I feel like I need to do or what decks I need to work with at that time is what I do or what I work with. I don't find that if I set specific decks aside to work with, that always works out, because most of the time, if I set a deck out to work with, I want to work with something else. And so, I don't know, I'm just kind of going with the flow and not being hard on myself, but honoring myself in my practice and doing things that work for me in the moment where I'm at right now in life. So yeah. All right, tangent done with that. So my tarot card for April is Ace of Pentacles. Love to see that. And Bliss. So, this looks pretty good so far, right? Ace of Pentacles. So, maybe some kind of opportunity will arise. I've been really successful with my YouTube channel, my other YouTube channel. I will link it down below. But I have, as of today, I hit over 100 subscribers. I think I'm at 112 or something like that. And I'm really proud of that, just because, this channel hasn't seen growth like that, in years. This channel was many things before it is what it is today. And I one of my videos on my new channel has hit over 4,000 views, and I don't know, I'm just really proud of that. Pretty much all of the videos on there so far have more views than like most of the videos on this channel. And I'm just really proud of that. So I'm hoping that that channel grows and that maybe becomes potentially like a financial thing for me. I don't know if it'll ever get there, but you know, I'm doing it because I love it, but also because I love doing pick card readings, and I was just wanting to see if I created a new channel, if it would get more attention because it's specifically made for tarot readings. And so far so good. So who knows, maybe I'll see a big surge in that this month with the Ace of Pentacles. You know, a lot can happen in a month. I wrote 40,000 words last month. So maybe at the end of April, I'll have the book pretty much done, you know, the first draft, and who knows, I might start submitting it to people, editors, things like that, which could again result in more financial opportunities. Who knows? Bliss. I'm happy that this is here because obviously you always want to be happy, right? You always want to be living in bliss. So, but bliss is like pure happiness. So that makes me think I'm going to accomplish a lot of things or just have kind of like a high in life. So we'll see what plays out. Okay. So with all that being said, is there any like memories or anything else I want to talk about? Not really. Not that I can think of. Let's talk about books, because I did read books in March. So the first book I read in March was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So this book is so good. I mean, it's very popular. It's a fiction book. I'm glad I read it. It's not necessarily like what I would think would be like my favorite kind of book. It was beautifully written. Like, the thing about this book is that it was so poetically written. It was beautiful how it was written. And it follows a woman who is like 350 years old. She makes a deal with the darkness, they call him, to have eternal life, to kind of save her from her current life because she's, you know, set to marry somebody she doesn't want to. And the kind of punishment for that is that nobody will ever remember her past like a day. Like if somebody leaves the room after talking to her, they forget her, you know. So she lives this life pretty much alone, you know. She can't make friends or have a relationship that lasts longer than a day. And it was really beautiful. I loved reading it. But I found myself at the end kind of craving what I normally read, which is more, I don't know, something that feels a little bit more like day to day. Like it can still be high fantasy and like all this crazy stuff, but like the dialogue, and just the way it's written, I usually want something a little more like approachable or something that just seems more like my life. You know what I mean? So this was a beautiful book. I loved it. It was standalone, not a series or anything. And I really enjoyed it. So the second book I read, which has become one of my favorite books, I think, ever. Just, it's so good. Let's see. So I read The Serpent and the Wings of Night. The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I can't ever remember the title of this book, but this is the first book in this series, and the second one hasn't come out yet. It's coming out in April, and I'm so excited. But this book, it was written, I don't know, I just loved the writing style of this. It was like exactly what I was looking for, to kind of follow the invisible life of Addie LaRue, like more my style, you know what I mean? It was so good. It was like really fast paced. Like, if I wanted my writing style to be like somebody's, it would be like this. Like, I loved the way that this was written. But this book follows a young woman who's raised by a vampire king, basically. And she has to enter this competition where she gets, you know, the winner gets a gift from a goddess, like anything they want, basically. So it's really cool. It kind of like intertwines like Twilight and Hunger Games and all this stuff. but, you know, it has a little bit of spice in it, but not too much. You know, it's kind of enemies to lovers. So I really, really, really enjoyed this book more than I have in a long time. I just felt like it was just so beautifully done. Wasn't too much, wasn't too little, you know, it was like the perfect amount of a story. I just really loved it. So that was the second book I read. And then, let's see. So then I read these two books. So I read, it's called The Cat and Mouse Duet. It's Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline. So I've seen this all over like Bookstagram and stuff. And so I decided to give it a try because it's Kindle Unlimited. And right now that's kind of just what I'm reading is mostly Kindle Unlimited because I have that subscription service. So this series is very dark, I would say. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but it's a little bit darker than probably something I would read all of the time. Like, I know a lot of people like this genre and read it all the time. Another kind of darker book I read last year was Hellfire, which was an indie book that I really enjoyed. That one was a little bit more my speed, I feel like, than these. I mean, these are very popular and I understand why, and I get it. But yeah, okay, so Haunting Adeline, it's basically a girl who, you know, the first book is a lot lighter than the second book. So the first book follows Adeline, and she moves into her grandmother's old house, right? Her grandmother died and gave her this manor, which is huge and it's creepy and it's kind of haunted, and she's basically trying to figure out her great-grandmother's, there's a mystery about her great-grandmother she's trying to figure out. And she has a stalker, right? And it's kind of like their little cat and mouse game. She ends up having feelings for the stalker. You know what I mean? So it kind of goes like that direction. The second book is very dark. Very, very, very dark. There were parts where I almost wanted to throw up because it was very messed up. I'll just say that. So there's trigger warnings online, so I would look at those before reading these. They're very, you know, dark. I did enjoy them though. I really, really enjoyed them. But I don't think I'll be searching out these kind of books all of the time, you know, like maybe once in a while, but it's just not my cup of tea, I guess, all the time. I mean, I did enjoy it. It's just not what I normally go for. So right now I'm kind of working on two books. So we'll see. I feel like April I might not read as much just because I'm finding that when I'm reading and writing, like I'm doubting myself a lot because I'll be writing my own thing and then I'll be reading somebody else's book and I'm like comparing myself to like the writing style and stuff, and that's just not, I don't want that in my like brain when I'm trying to write. So we'll see. I do still like to read at night before bed, so hopefully I'll get some reading done. Okay, let's talk decks. So in March, I got 4 decks, which I know is a lot, but I'll kind of like walk you through what I got. I mean, to be fair, in February, I didn't pick up any decks. I have ordered 1 deck so far in April, but I'll talk about that probably in its own video because that's one of those decks that I've had on my wish list forever, and I was like, I need to pick it up because it more often than not, when I've had a deck on my wish list forever and ever and ever, and I just keep not picking it up, like when I added it to my cart, it rang me up for like 6 or 7 of them at first because that's how many times I've like added it to my cart. So usually decks like that become like huge favorites in my collection once I finally bite the bullet. So yeah, but I'm really not trying to pick up a lot of new decks just because I'm finding myself drawn to the same things over and over, and I want to create deeper connections with my decks and use them more and have more of a spiritual relationship with them instead of just trying to buy new decks. But I did pick up 4 decks this month, so yeah, I feel like that'll be kind of an anomaly in this next year, right? It's kind of a weird month. But first deck that I want to talk about that I picked up was the Divine Muses Oracle. And I got the French edition because when I really was feeling drawn to this deck, I saw Jess Reed's cards working with it, and I was so drawn to it for like ancestral work, spirit guide work. It felt very connected to that for me. When I went to go purchase it, the creator, it was out of print, and she said she wasn't planning to reprint it at all during 2023, and I was bummed. But, it's a $60 indie deck. So I was looking around to see if anybody was like reselling it as like a used copy. And I saw that they had a mass market French edition, which was like $26. So I decided to pick it up. I love this deck. So these are the backs. This is what I feel like the back of a deck should look like. Really good card stock. So what I did was I went through and I put the English title and the keywords into the guidebook with some sticky like printer paper, just so I could flip to the to the name of the card in here and get the keywords real fast. And then I have the Google Translate app on my phone, and if I want to, I can use, like, they have a camera kind of feature where you can translate the guidebook. And yeah, so I already kind of know what all of the words are on the deck because I've spent time with it, I've studied it, I've watched a bunch of walkthroughs of the English version. But this deck is really deep. It has a lot of alchemical stuff that I didn't realize. So it's really good. It's been spot on. I've been pairing it with a tarot deck, and I've just really loved working with it. So like ancestors, this is like the Great Mother, eternal student. So even though it's in French, I pretty much know what they all are. Muse of music, Lionheart, we just looked at that one. I always forget what that one is. Muse of history. So I don't know, I just really love like the archetypes in here that they have. So for a lot of the beginning of March, I paired this deck with the Pagan Otherworlds. So I would literally just pull one card from here and one card from here and pair it, and I felt like it just worked really well together. I love the Pagan Otherworlds. So I don't know, it just pairs really well with this deck. Just beautiful, right? So that was my little pairing that I used for a lot of the beginning of March. So the same time that I got the Divine Muses, I also picked up this deck because while I was waiting for Divine Muses to come from the UK, because I think that's where, because it came from Book Depository, I think. Anyway, while I was waiting for that one, I ordered Divine Nature because I felt like it kind of gave me those same vibes. So this is a new deck by US Games. These are the backs. And I felt like it kind of had a similar vibe to Divine Muses. Like the art style kind of reminded me of it. But this is a really, really good deck. I like it. I've used it in client readings, pick a card readings, as well as for myself. And I like it. You know, I haven't had anything profound with it, but it's definitely, you know, a good oracle deck. I think it has the potential to be profound, especially for others, you know. But, you know, for somebody who, you know, I read for myself like pretty much every day, I'm looking for something a little deeper, right? But I don't know. I do like a lot of the keywords on here. They are different. Alchemize. Journey. Remember who you are. I've kept this one on my bedside, and I'll usually pull a card from this in the morning when I wake up. So that was the second deck that I got. The third deck I got in March is the Kali Oracle. This has been on my wish list since I basically got into tarot and oracle. And I finally bit the bullet because I saw Racine from Owl Moon 513 do a workshop with this deck. And I kind of followed along, but I kind of did my own thing. I feel like these cards are very strong and like I need a few days to kind of think about them. But I love this practice of working with a specific deity like this. I've never really dedicated time or have any kind of decks that are catered to a certain god or goddess, but I really enjoy this. I'm thinking I might have a little bit more of a connection with the Isis Oracle, which I definitely want to pick up. I'm going to pick that up when I order my Egyptian Art Nouveau deck to kind of come in together and work with those together. But I kind of feared this deck because, you know, Kali is depicted as harsh, right? And I don't really do well with harsh or like extreme. Like, what do they explain her as? They say ferocious grace and supreme protection with the wild divine mother. So I was a little bit scared, but that kind of motivated me to want to pick it up even more, right? But I feel like more than anything, this deck has been super supportive and uplifting. I love it. I do like the art style. I know some people have issues with it, but I've really been enjoying working with this deck, and I have been journaling with this one. So when I do pull a card from this one, I take time to journal. I look at the artwork, what it intuitively tells me, and then I read from the guidebook. And, you know, this is by Alana Fairchild, so there's a lot to digest in the book. So that's why I kind of have been taking a few days to digest each card. I got this one as a really powerful message, but I love this deck. I'm excited to keep working with it. So usually, like, I'll do kind of a more carefree reading for myself in the morning. When I'm writing, I'll do a little reading. This is one that I do at night to kind of reflect and connect with Goddess, and I've really been enjoying it. So yes, love that. So that was the third deck that I got. And the fourth deck that I got in April, in March, I'm sorry. I got like a week ago. So this is the Fyodor Pavlov. This has been on my list since it was indie. Like, I wanted this deck so badly when it was indie, and I just, you know, I couldn't find it. It was out of print by the time that I had figured out that it existed. And so when it came out mass market, I was like so excited, but it was it was expensive. It was closer to $50 for a mass market deck, which is a lot for me. But I had some extra money come in this month, so I decided to go for it, and I'm not disappointed. Something that I love about this deck that I discovered after I had it in my hands was that this is my characters deck from my book. So in my book, the main character, her name is Veda, and she reads fortunes for people in like this dingy little tavern with cards. I call them fortune cards in the book, but you know, they're basically like tarot cards. And you know, she does it as kind of a decoy because her powers come, like, she's actually psychic. Like, she gets these psychic impressions, I call them, in the book. And when I got this deck, I was like, this is Veda's deck, because I talk about in the book how she kind of is, she has a little collection of like fancy fortune cards, right? But this is just so her. I feel like it's interesting because my book is set in kind of like more of medieval times. This deck is kind of set in like an older time frame, right? But it's so inclusive, which I love. Like, it has all kinds of people, and I feel like this is just the kind of deck that Veda would have. So that for me has really connected me to this deck on a deeper level, I think, is thinking of it as her deck. And I've been using the crap out of this deck since I got it. This is the only tarot deck I've pretty much been using since I got it. I've been using it in, daily readings for myself every single day. I love it. And I just see this deck becoming a big staple for me. Like, this is the only deck I want to work with, and I'm kind of sad right now because it's very cold because I currently had it in the fridge. I'm doing my Click of Death treatment on it. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Click of Death, but I hate when my tarot cards do this. I hate that with a passion. And it didn't come like that, but I made the mistake of leaving it out on my desk because I didn't want to keep taking it out of the box because I was using it so much that I kept having to take it out of the box and put it back in. And so I left it out on my desk overnight, and it being out kind of in the sun warped it. So I stick it in the fridge, I put a weight on it, and usually that gets the bend out. So right now we're working on getting the bend out, and then, I can use it again because I've just been wanting to use this deck and I can't because I'm trying to get the bend out of it. But I love this deck. I don't know. It's so aesthetically pleasing. Like, I've seen pictures and videos of it and I was like, yeah, it's pretty, but in person it's like even prettier. And these backs, I mean, these are the perfect backs, right? I don't know. I love this deck, you guys. I love it. And it has the potential to become like a main staple for me just because it has all the elements that I like. It's aesthetically pleasing, like the Pagan Otherworld, like the color palette is very similar to that, but it also is inclusive and it has fully illustrated pips. But I just love how the color palette's like, one color. I actually like how they've switched up the color association. So for wands, it's green, and for swords, it's red. I don't know, I just really like that. And I love this gold color for the coins. See, I hate how it like does that. But the cardstock's really good. It's like this linen kind of finish. So I'm hoping it goes back to its normal shape soon so I can keep using it. But yeah. Love this deck, and this is like the only tarot deck I wanted to use. So that's the Fyodor Pavlov tarot deck. As far as just other random things, I'll just share with you guys a few other things I've been using. So the deck that just blows me away all the time for clients and for, like my pick a card readings. This is the Journey Oracle. This is such a good oracle. I love that it's kind of modern, and I love the colors. I feel like in summer this will just be so fun to use. But it's so accurate for me. Like, it always lines up with the reading 100%, which I love. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of deck you are. If you're lining up with the reading, I want to work with you, right? So it's just really good. I love the messages on here. There's some that are a little bit like redundant that you see in decks. Wisdom, okay? But there's others that just really stand out to me, like Your Beacon. I love this card. Take the Leap, Be Open, Change. I don't know why these are upside down, but Unfolding. Look how beautiful that is. Boundaries, Light in the Dark, Growing, Difficulties, Future Self. I love this card. So I don't know. I feel like this is just going to be a staple all of 2023 because I use it constantly. It doesn't leave my table. I've felt disconnected from my paranormal kind of spirit communication lately. So I brought these two decks out to kind of work on that. So that is my Embroidered Graveyard. I just felt like I was kind of neglecting that part of my practice. And so I've been really using these decks to connect to the spirit realm again, because I feel like I was just kind of not abandoning it, but I hadn't connected in with it in a long time. So I felt like I needed to do that again. I definitely want to work more with these kind of spirits and do more of my Tarot Unsolved series, of course. But I also just want to do like paranormal investigating and like talking to spirits and stuff, my own kind of a thing. Or I don't know, there's a lot of like ghost hunting stuff I want to do this summer. We'll see. that I just didn't get around to last summer. And these are the decks that I would take on those kind of adventures. So that was the first one. The second one is a favorite. This is the Memento Mori. I mean, I just love this deck. It's like I can lay it out and create just a story, right? With the keywords. Like I just lay it out like 6 cards, 2 columns of 3, and it just tells me a story. The first card I pulled from it, I was like, okay, well, I need to connect with spirit again. This came out. I was like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I've been neglecting it. So, I don't know. I love this deck. I love how clean it is. It's very aesthetically pleasing again. I love how it's like, it forces my intuition to kind of take the lead, right? I have to kind of figure out what is this telling me with one word in this picture, right? That's a cool card. So I don't know. Love this deck. That is the Memento Mori. And then, you know, I've been trying to go back to the basics, go back to the roots. So I have been using Moonology for myself just to kind of prove to myself that like I don't need all these fancy decks to work with and get good messages, because this deck, it just always gives me something tangible to get away from the reading. It always gives me something tangible to take away from the reading, and it works so well. So I have quite a few decks in my collection right now that I want to bring out to try to work with, because I feel like I have some hidden gems in there that I've neglected. So I think that's kind of what's going to happen in April mostly. I'll let you guys know. So the deck that I ordered is the Brian Froud Fairies deck, which I've wanted for so long, and I'm so excited to work with that with, you know, the spring here and work with the Fae and see how that works. But I really want to search my collection for some more decks for client readings and pick a card readings that work really well, and get a connection with some more decks that way. So, love this deck, of course. So those are all the decks that I kind of, you know, I played around with a lot of decks this month. I have, which I should do a video about, but I have like this shelf underneath my desk that I keep all of the decks that I like work with on a regular basis, and I just kind of reach, like each day I'll just kind of reach from there and take decks out and work with them that way. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a wonderful April so far. I hope March was good for you. I love you guys so much. If you want to subscribe to my pick a card reading channel, I will have it listed down below. If you would like a personal tarot reading from me, I do have my Etsy shop listed down below in the description box. But yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.